So I went ahead and
we can't say it's wonderful to see you.
It's good to see your iPhone name. So I went ahead and started recording. We record these and post them on our YouTube channel. I know there's quite a few people who want to come and can't come live for whatever reason, but do want to be able to watch the video later. So thank you for joining us. My name is Elizabeth Dixie Patrick. I'm the Executive Director of the Austin Independent Business Alliance, and this is our Tuesday morning coffee chat. So super informal. You can turn your video off if you don't want to be seen. That's completely fine. You can turn it on if you want to be seen. You're welcome to ask questions. This is more of a conversation than it is a presentation. I'm not preparing PowerPoints for these. So this morning, we're super excited to be able to talk about funding. So before we do the big news with funding, let's talk about two things that existed before, went away, and are coming back. So the first of those is the Idyll program. It's EIDL, the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Program. It's a program of the Business Administration. It existed before. It's often used for natural disasters, hurricanes, wildfires, things like that. They retooled it and made it available for businesses who were suffering during the pandemic. It has a provision in it that is particularly exciting for small business. It's a loan program, so it's a traditional SBA loan, which has pretty incredible rates and repayment plans, and it's very forgiving in terms of being a loan. But the Idyll loan also comes with an advance that turns into a grant when the loan is completed. So, and it's up to $10,000. It's $1,000 per employee. So that was open initially. The program ran out of money because of demand. And was shut down for a month, and it is reopened again. So any small business can apply for that. You can receive the $10,000 grant whether you take the loan or not. So you apply for the Idyll loan. As the loan is being processed, you receive the advance in your bank account. It's very simple application process, very easy to do. Everybody needs as much financial help as they can get, those businesses who are suffering during shutdowns and struggling to pay rent, find money for a payroll, all of those things. So every little bit helps. That I recommend that everybody do it. I'll put the link to the Idyll program again in the notes that we'll share after the meeting. So the other is the Ppp loan, which is again a loan program with a forgivable element to it. Everyone, I think, at this point is familiar with the PPP. The original end date for application for that program was last week. It was extended over the weekend to August 8th, I believe is the date. So if you had run out of time to apply for it, it's no longer the case. It's extended. You can continue to apply for it for the whole month of July. Again, most people have lots of information about this already, but I would encourage people to definitely look at that. There's been a lot of misinformation about who is not eligible to receive those funds and which of those funds are eligible for forgiveness. So sole proprietors are eligible for that. There are many ways that an accountant can help you, or a CPA can help you figure out how to arrange your books so that things are, so that it fits into kind of the buckets that the PPP program is asking for. Not moving money around or anything like that, but just the way that you're reporting your finances can be really advantageous or disadvantageous for how the PPP loan is working. So that is extended. If you have any questions about either of those programs, while I am definitely not a CPA, that would make my family roll with laughter to think that I'm doing CPA work, but I do have resources that I can connect you with. So if you have not applied, either because the documentation is scary or you didn't think you were eligible, I encourage and urge you to reach out to those people. So we have a mask order statewide. We have had one in Austin for a long time, and so now we have that order statewide. There is a a penalty for businesses having people within their, looking good, Larry, I love that mask, people within their, place of business not wearing a mask. So business owners are kind of being asked to police that, which can be a bit of a burden. also, now that we have the statewide order and we have the city order, and they're both finable, hopefully that gives the business owners something to kind of point to, instead of just me saying, I want you to wear a mask in my business because I want you to keep me safe. I can say it is a statewide order, and I have the backing of kind of the state and the city to help me with that. So there's a program, there's a PR program happening led by the Opening Central Texas Task Force that's encouraging people to wear masks. I'll go ahead and reshare that too. I'd encourage you to, it's great social media. Hi, Ben. It's great social media fodder to put out there to encourage people to, so that they know that you are being cognizant of what's happening, that you're asking other customers to wear masks as we have people, you know, coming in here. So those are two. So the other thing that we're going to talk about this morning, we have been advocating, asking for, beating the drum for grant funding for small local businesses in Austin since the South by was announced, before we even knew that we were going to be in a multi-month pandemic. And this morning on, I don't know if anyone saw it, but on Fox 7 News, the Veronica from the Economic Development Department and a representative of the Better Business Bureau both appeared on the news to talk about the grant program in Austin, which is live as of this morning. The application's open today at 10 o'clock in the morning. So they did a whole little segment on it, which I will share in the notes, that Fox 7 segment. And we have the grant program that's out there. So I want to lead you to the easiest way to get there is to go to, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. To go to atxrecovers.com, and that's going to take you to everything that you need to know about all of the financial programs that are here. That's atxrecovers.com. And of course, I'll link this in the notes that we have. And you'll see right here at the top, there's two programs. There were $16.5 million ended up being allocated to small business. There was originally 23 million, which would have been amazing. Some things happened. Some of that money got reallocated, but we ended up with 16 million, which is 16 million more than small business has received in grant funding up to now. So we're going to call that a win. So that it's two programs. It's one for small businesses and one for nonprofits. We're going to focus on the small business this morning. So like I said, the applications are going to open at 10 a.m. This is not a first come, first serve program. So what they're doing is they are taking those funds and taking all the applications that they receive in the application program, application period, excuse me. 50% of those will be allocated using a matrix that establishes vulnerability, that establishes urgency of need, that establishes minority ownership, that establishes equity, interest. So all of those things, there's a matrix, and there's some information here on the website about that. 50% of the loans will be allocated along that matrix, the results of that matrix. The other 50% of the funds will be allocated by a lottery. So the other thing that's a little different about this particular loan program is it is reimbursing you for expenses that have occurred after March 1st. So instead of the PPP loan program, for example, or the grant portion of the PPP program gives you a pocket of money and then asks you to come back and prove how you spent the money, and that's how they determine whether it's able to be forgiven. What this program is doing is flipping that on its head. It's saying, show me what you spent. If you spent money on these eligible things, which is payroll, rent, facility modifications, personal protective equipment, sanitation and cleaning, if you had to purchase property, if you bought inventory, if you paid for business insurance, if you bought new technology, worker training, all of these things that are on here, in addition to some other things that fit in here. If you spent money on that, you show us your expenses and we're going to reimburse you for that. And so the period of time that the expenses can happen is March 1st through the application date of the program, if that makes sense. The other thing that's important to note is if you have, I've talked about the PPP a little bit earlier, if you have already taken a PPP loan and used that for payroll and rent, which is what lots of people have done, you can't double dip. So the payroll and rent that you've already paid using your PPP loan, you can't pay using this grant. You can use it for the other things, which was one of the criticisms of the PPP program is like, yes, I do need to pay rent and I do need to pay payroll, and those are big costs of mine, but I also have these other huge costs, and how can I get help paying for these other huge costs? And so this program is going to help you do that. It tops out at $40,000, so that's the most that any one business will be able to receive. And I think there's going to be a lot of nuance to it. So the information about it is out here. I am available to answer any questions that anyone has. Again, won't have all of the answers, but can connect you with the people who do have the answers. Would love to, like, we can answer general questions like, I'm thinking about submitting this. Is this an okay thing? Or I'm wondering if my business is eligible or not. We can answer questions like that. Also, if you have really detailed questions, like here is the thing that I'm thinking of, like here's a copy of it. Is this invoice okay? Or does it need to be different? Does it have to be paid, or can it just be booked? All of those things, we can help you with that too. There's a couple of webinars coming up. There are there's 4 that I'm going to list in the notes of the program here when I send them out. 2 are put on by the Better Business Bureau, who is administering the grant program. And then they're putting those on, and those are kind of general, information about the program. It's going to be kind of a larger audience. We have also asked the representative from the Better Business Bureau to come and do 2 other specific one on Thursday and one this Thursday and one next Wednesday, where it's our smaller group where we can ask specific questions and kind of like lead the discussion in a way that we need to have it for small and local business, the ones that we represent. So I would encourage you to come to those, tell your friends about them. Like, it's an opportunity to really figure it out. Also, I mentioned, and I just want to reiterate this, the lottery program and the equity matrix that we're using, that the program is using, means that you don't need to rush out and apply right now. It means that you can think carefully about what is the best way to put your application in, what is the best way to like, which of the things that are eligible out there can you really use this for. So instead of rushing out and trying to be the first to apply, that's not part of it. We can get together and we can come up with a really well thought out, application to get you the most help, the most kind of bang for your buck with this program. So it's exciting. This is what we've been hoping for. Of course, we would like to have full funding, for all of our small businesses in Austin to get their rent paid and to figure out how to do payroll, since there's no revenue for lots of businesses to be had. We don't have that yet, but this is a fantastic first step in terms of getting some grant funding to businesses. So the application program ends on the 24th. I'm just going to check that date before I say it out loud. It ends, that's right, on July 24th. And then the funds will start coming very shortly after that. So that is still a little ways away when you're sitting in your office looking at your books and wondering how you're going to pay rent and how you're going to pay payroll. But we do have that, that help coming. So we usually end at 10 o'clock. We have about 5 or so minutes before we end there. I wonder, Ben, I know that you joined us a little late. I wonder if you or Larry, and I'm not sure who's joined us on the iPhone, if there are any initial questions that anyone has. If not, I'll maybe switch over and talk a little bit about the nonprofit grant program that they also have. We do have, AIBA's membership is wildly diverse because we represent all the little people in Austin. And so we do have a segment of the community that we represent that are nonprofits. Let me just switch over to that real quick. So the two programs that they have, one is the small business relief, and it doesn't have a pretty acronym, or at least I haven't heard one yet. The ASBRG. Anyway, maybe we'll come up with an acronym for that. But the Austin Nonprofit Relief Grant is $6 million. It's also open from the 7th to the 24th, the applications, and has a similar scoring matrix. It's slightly different, of course, because it's for nonprofit. Similar eligibility requirements. It is also available, the same information is available for it on atxrecovers.com. The nonprofit program is linked there. So there was, 100 and I can't remember the exact number, more than $100 million from the CARES Act funding that came down to Austin. And that money got dispersed out, and it is to help individuals, it's to help businesses, it's to help public service, it's to help our first responders, it's to help the fire department, and it was that whole pocket of money. And of that, we've kind of put it in different buckets. So it's great to see that there is specific support for nonprofits. A lot of the services that are provided to individuals are provided by those nonprofits, those non-governmental organizations. So yes, a lot of the money did need to go to first responders and all of those things, and we want to keep our health and safety systems as robust as they can possibly be, especially right now. But it is also fantastic to see that some of those smaller organizations that help some of the really, really underserved, who are not even able for a variety of reasons to get to those services that are provided by government. So that's out there. I won't go into the details of it, but it is available out there. So what you're going to see in terms of next steps is in the notes from this discussion that we had that go out, we're going to have links to how to apply for an Idyll loan if your business has taken a hit during the pandemic and you haven't applied for an Idyll loan yet. I encourage everyone to apply for the Idyll loan. It is a 10-minute loan process at the most, and comes with a forgivable advance, depending on the number of employees you have. So it's someone is setting a pocket of money on the table, and all a small business owner has to do is walk up and ask for it and receive it. So please look into that if you haven't already. The PPP loan, the application being extended, we're looking at having a CPA join us to talk to, there's a number of businesses who are, for whatever reason, feeling like they're not eligible. There are definitely eligibility requirements to the PPP, and there are going to be some people who are not eligible. Unfortunately, there's some misinformation out there. There's a group of people who are thinking they're not eligible when actually they probably are. And I don't want, again, this is a forgivable bucket of money that's being set on the table. This is where the bulk of the funding from the federal government is going to the PPP loan program. So if you haven't applied yet for whatever reason, and you have any inkling, if you're not philosophically opposed to the program, have any inkling of applying for it, please reach out to me. Let's find somebody who can talk to you about, is it possible for you to apply for it? Again, somebody's putting the money on the table and we have to walk up and take it. The PPP loan, a little bit more intense in terms of application and documentation, but forgivable money for you to help pay your payroll and help pay your rent and some of the other expenses that are out there. So you're going to see a link to that as well. You're going to see a link to the Fox News segment that went out this morning talking about the grant program with the Small Business and the Better Business Bureau on there, and then also links to how to apply for the program. Included in there are going to be links to the webinars that I talked about, the 2 webinars that are hosted by the Better Business Bureau that are large group webinars. We can talk about those things, and then 2 smaller ones where we've asked one of their customer service, client service specialists to join us to answer specific questions. Can I use this invoice? Can I do this thing? So you'll get links to all of those things. So today's an exciting day. We've been waiting for this for a long time. The application opens, like I said, today at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you're ready and you already know what expenses you're going to ask for forgiveness, absolutely go ahead and apply. I'd love to hear feedback on the application process. If you go through it and it's amazing, if you go through it and it makes you want to pull your hair out, any of that feedback is good. We are tied in with the department at the city who is administering this program. So, and they would love your feedback. They're doing a lot of work to try to make sure that this program in Austin gets to the most vulnerable small business owners who are hardest hit by the pandemic. And it is a real heavy lift. So we appreciate all of the work that they've done and all of the careful consideration and, you know, detailed planning that has gone into trying to figure out how to do this the right way and how to have it come out, you know, the way that we are thinking we want it to come out. Really not trying to do everything they can, I think, to avoid a repeat of some of the early PPP money going to really large corporations who have not only really deep pockets, but like access to lots of other funding, didn't really need PPP. So wanting to make sure that we don't have a repeat of that in the city of Austin. So hopefully the setup is there. So it is 10 o'clock. I always want to be respectful of people's times. I appreciate you all joining us. I'll go ahead and post this stuff. My email and contact information is on there. You can always email me, you can call me, you can tweet me, you can Facebook me. You can do whatever to get in touch with me if you have any questions. I'm definitely here for you. I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Oh, I didn't talk about my coffee. I always forget to do that. We were supposed to talk about coffee chat, but I'm drinking the same coffee I was last week because I haven't finished it yet. So I don't have a new one to talk about yet. And it's funny that I'm hosting a coffee chat and I drink decaffeinated coffee. So it's not even real coffee. It's not.
Thank you for my cup. I got it.
I'm so glad you got it. That's great. That's great. I forgot all about that, man. I meant if I had thought about it, I would have sent you some stickers to put on the side of it. I have all these little, you know, stickers.
Oh.
Next time I get out to the post office, I'll mail you some stickers. We'll get armadillos all over the side of it. That's lovely. Well, Larry, it was great. I'm glad we got to chat before the meeting started. It was great to see you again. And I thank you for the work that you're doing, keeping the city clean. You know, as an individual, there's not a whole lot that I can do. I can wear a mask myself. I can keep myself safe. I can, you know, wash my hands and I can social distance and I can do all of those things. But what you're doing where you're going out and keeping the businesses clean is fantastic. So that's an amazing thing that's happening. And Ben, it's always good to see you. And our mystery guest on the iPhone, we're glad to see you too. We'll maybe next time, if you can join next week, we will, maybe we'll get a face on that one. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy Tuesday. I had a funny message from someone late last night that said, this has been a hell of a week. It's like, it's Monday night. So we're in for a ride. We better strap in. And it had been a hell of a week. So they were not wrong. They were not wrong. Okay, guys. It was lovely to see you both. We'll talk to you soon.